Good evening, everybody. Believe it or not, it's May 1st. This is Darren's favorite day. It's May Day, where they celebrate the communist revolution, where to overthrow capitalism, and where it's 73 degrees today after the cold, nasty winter we had. I want to say right away hello to Marianne McCara. Hello, Marianne, our number one fan. Hello, Christine Scotti, the wonderful woman who had the bad taste to see Bryan naked and reproduce with him, but who does put the shows on YouTube. We have our guest host with us, Michael Grace, former Yorktown supervisor, now political commentator. We have Bryan Fumagalli, editor of the Pizza Post. Darren Rigger, political commentator. Dominic is celebrating the May 1st with the Bolsheviks. He's at some sort of procession celebrating May. Now, it turns out that Cinco de Mayo,
which is my birthday,
is actually on May 5th. It's actually on a Saturday. I don't know why anybody wants to celebrate a sink full of mayonnaise, but if that's a cultural thing, I can leave this. And speaking of cultural things, since we last taped, big news that Jackie Robinson was the 70th anniversary of breaking the color line, playing his first Major League game. And everywhere, Jackie Robinson. And I've heard about it as any baseball lover. We all know Jackie Robinson since we were a kid. But in none of the stories, and it's a question I have had since I was a kid with Jackie Robinson, nobody tells you what the E stood for.
Oh, God. That was terrible.
Jack E. Robinson, get it?
Nobody tells you what the E stands for.
We got to rewind this. Can we start over?
The only thing that matters is that he was safe at home when he's still home in the World Series.
Now, we always baseball. Mike Francesca's back on the Fan.
Well, see, I thought all the May Day, hoopla and all the, the damage and the riots were because of Darren's friends, but it was actually because Francesca's back on the Fan.
Yeah,
that's what that was all about.
True.
So what is the May Day? May Day was a communist holiday?
Right.
Well, you could ask Vanessa Agudelo about it. I'm sure the Hudson Valley Democrat socialists are really excited today.
I'm too young to know any of that stuff.
I heard about that.
You were both.
I was born after the fall of the Russian Empire.
She's 20 years younger than you.
Everybody's 20 years younger than him.
I thought May Day was a maypole. You dance in a circle around a pole.
No. It's a big holiday in
Russia.
Yeah, in Russia. It's very
like Russian Revolution Day.
Is it Marx's birthday or no?
No, I want to be topical for a minute.
Cinco de Mayo is really your birthday?
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
I know.
He was born in a sink full of mayonnaise, yes. Yeah. Anyway, I want to ask you guys, you both have held elective office. Are they making a big deal that this councilwoman in Peekskill will not recite the Pledge of Allegiance before the beginning of the council meeting?
Yeah, I think
she does stand up, right? Am I right? She does stand.
I haven't really been following it, but yeah, I think from what I read on the Facebook posting, she stands up.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But I guess she doesn't recite it. She doesn't
recite it. Is that being blown out of proportion, or do you think she should do it?
Honestly, I think what are you on? Like, I think we're on day one.
I don't know. Does she have to? I mean, does that have to be set at a certain decibel level? I mean, is she paying the proper homage?
She's saying the country doesn't live up to its standards.
Well, that's nonsense. The standards are that she got elected, so it is living up to
right, that's, I mean, this woman
so that's
of Hispanic
It reminds me a little bit of Michelle Obama when in 2008, when her husband was running for president, said she'd never before been proud of her country before that moment in the campaign of 08. And a lot of people said, well, wait a minute, she went to Ivy League schools, she's wealthy, her kids are in private school. What is this woman talking about? And Vanessa Agudelo, I believe that's how you pronounce her name. Agudelo, she's Democrat or socialist or...
She's a Democrat socialist, actually, in what she kept from the people.
Right. She was elected back in November, and in a quote that she gave to the Examiner, which kudos for covering the story.
Well, where was the Peekskill Post?
Well, Peekskill Post is busy doing other things. But kudos.
In Washington State?
No, kudos to the Examiner. But she said that, as Andy mentioned, that she doesn't stand because
she doesn't recite. She stands.
Right, fine. She doesn't recite it. She doesn't pay the respects that she should because.
Well, no, but she stands.
The ideals of the country says it stands for, she respects, but we're not living up to that. And when I saw that, I said, well, this woman is not a leader, she's a complete follower. Because if she thinks that the country has great goals, I disagree with it, but if that we're not meeting, she should not only stand up, she should put her hand over her heart and recite it and lead people to aspire to meet those goals.
Yeah, but
she's just a common, she's a common
because
follower.
all these
That's
people,
all she
these
is.
people do is they virtue signal them. That's
Right.
all it is. It's just like they want to make themselves put themselves on a higher plane
Why
than
doesn't she
everybody else.
lift up the community
Well, my
instead
question,
of
if
making
this
it all about
country
her?
is not living up to those goals that she says we're not living up to, what are all those people at the south of the border in a caravan trying to get in here for? If we're not living up to those goals, what the hell are they doing? I mean, obviously, if we're such a shithole, why aren't they in their own shithole?
Can we say shithole on television?
Yes.
You cannot inherently say that you're a socialist, but that you agree with what America supposedly stands for, because America stands for individual liberty at its heart, traditionally. So her being a Hudson Valley Democrat socialist or member of the Socialist Party, she's either very ignorant of the issue or she's lying. But you can't be both. That's why socialism is incompatible with Americanism.
But you know what?
And a lot of people don't understand that.
But
You can't be both. It's impossible.
The thing is, what is their vision that they want to replace, our long-held traditions and American beliefs with? And that really is what it comes down to. Because if you believe in it, that should be your vision. So what there shouldn't be anything incompatible. And,
Right.
and it's kind of funny. It has nothing to. It's all hyperbole. It's virtue signaling. It's saying
That's
that
what- that's the goal,
that's
virtue
really what it is. It's self-aggrandizement. You're really that. You really think that much of yourself that you're above having to.
So I think that
There's such a thing as a
I think
loyal
at the end of the
opposition.
day, the
Being
question
loyal.
was, right, does this matter? I don't think it matters. I think that, especially now, we're in this weird 24-hour news cycle where stuff is thrown at us.
Well, it'll
usually,
disappear
but it's usually
faster, yeah.
thrown by the other party. So this whole thing, this didn't start because some proud American came forward with great
Well, do you
concern.
consider Frank
This
Catalina a
started
proud
because
American?
Frank Catalina.
He's a proud American.
Frank Catalina went on one of his Trump-like Twitter, Facebook, attacks that he does, where he slanders people and slams them, and then inflames his base. It was very sour grapes.
Isn't
Those Twitter
that
attacks
what
in
you're trying to
North Korea.
provoke
Here's
by
a
doing
guy.
it in the
Here's
first
a
place?
woman. Vanessa Agudelo was very clear. She was a big Bernie person, huge environmentalist, huge activist. She never hid anything that she ever said or believed, and was the single highest vote getter out of every single candidate that ran that year. Now, Frank lost the election. I understand. He's mad. He's a little sour. But he attacks her, and it's a manufacture. It's a fake issue. Just like when Democrats bring up, Russian hookers or peeing on the president.
It's not a fake issue,
right?
but it
Come on,
shouldn't-
that stuff. The American people doesn't care about that
Right,
stuff.
it shouldn't
They want to know
surprise
about their
anybody.
roads and their taxes and the bill and the budget and the police and the.
Right.
We have real stuff.
And that cuts both ways because you're right.
Yeah, we
So
manufacture
so then
stuff.
why put yourself out there to make? It's done for him to make a statement. She's doing it to make a statement too. So she's doing that to draw the attention, to draw the controversy.
I think
and
it's
it
an
goes both
important.
ways.
It's an important.
Like I
thing,
went
but it
to
shouldn't
I went to
surprise anybody.
a Black Lives Matter rally very early on when it first happened at Grand Central Station, and it to me the things had just happened. We're watching the news footage of the guy Eric Gardner being choked out on television, so I went to the Black Lives Matter rally, participated in it. No, the one at Grand Central Station really early on, and then Frank brings it up at a meeting.
Oh, while you were
And
a
talks
councilman.
about,
While you were
well, as a councilman,
Okay.
that the, how people are so anti-police that they would go, and I'm not anti-police, I'm not anti-cop at all, but we
So
do.
that
we,
voodoo doll, you have a policeman on your front
With the little
lawn
pin, with the little-
That's what, just for
but
Halloween.
we do. We manufacture
That's
this
just
stuff
for
against each
Halloween.
other. I don't think the voters or the people of Peekskill really care whether you kneel or not kneel or stand or not stand.
You've run campaigns, and
Yeah.
we had this discussion before.
Yeah,
You-
but
the
I'm a football fan.
last campaign. I mean, you would call people up to say, come out and vote Democratic to get back at Trump.
Yeah.
Right. So, but Trump has got nothing to do with running Peekskill. And what Trump,
We're seeing that right now. The Democrats are already
yeah.
doing the whole send Trump a message.
And that's nothing
Right.
new. That's
But
typical
you, I mean,
politics.
if you're really expecting everyone to have honesty in the process,
Yeah.
you're in the wrong game.
I just don't think it should be a surprise because, as you said, and this is both a credit and the opposite of a credit to I think, to the modern Democrat Party and to Vanessa specifically. But if you're out and out there supporting Bernie Sanders, the fact that you would not stand or put your heart over or recite the pledge should not come as a surprise to anybody. That's kind of, as I see it, par for the course. That's what that wing of the party's about.
That's why I got to kick over this.
And I don't think people in Peekskill care about it.
I got to kick over this Washington Correspondents' Dinner. They hire a comedian. She says jokes that are offensive. Well, when they hired Don Imus and he went on a rant about Clinton, it was that you hired Don Imus. You hired Steve Colbert. He goes on a rant about George Bush.
The difference is, though,
You hired these. You know what they do.
The president can be shot. No, I shouldn't say that literally. The president can be a target 24/7 for commentary for comedians, but I don't think that there's a recent example of a comedian targeting, for example, a press secretary in such mean-spirited fashion. And I know she's a public
Yeah, but
figure.
there's a reason for this.
I don't care about the
I'm
reason.
going to give you the reason.
She's fair game to a certain extent. But there's also respect, and there's none coming.
No, there's a reason why we haven't seen this. Because until Donald Trump came along, you never had a woman that ran a successful presidential campaign. So you didn't have a woman to pick on that was part of
Well,
the
I think-
I'm not saying women, I'm saying non-president.
You never had a woman that was the press secretary till Donald Trump.
That's not true. McCurry for...
Dee Dee Myers was.
Dee Dee Myers, that's who it was.
And the
And,
Fox
what's her
commentator,
Perino, Dana Perino.
They were
Dana
milquetoast.
Perino.
Sanders, she fights back.
It's just hard to stomach.
But
She
you know what?
finds
But
out
I'm
party
going
of
to tell you
women
the
killing a woman
most
like that.
anti-feminist comment that was the jokes that were made that night with the abortion.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
I knew
agree.
And I found them. I don't see that. I don't see how you make that. How do you joke about abortion? Period. And to think that anybody of that audience decided to absorb that with any kind of sense of humor is disgusting to me.
Well, The Hill has said they will not participate.
I find the thing. I have. It's funny. I have my daughter who's 25 years old. And
You had to think about that?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay. Well, that's right.
Because I may be even wrong. I mean, I think she may be 26.
You have 7 kids, right?
I got kids, but she's
Nah,
got.
you got more than 7?
No, 4. I have 4 adopted
I thought you
children.
had 7.
No, I had steps for a while, 3 steps.
Oh, okay. Because I remember there
So
was a time I read.
collectively there was a lot of them, but
Wow.
That's how he won the election.
I just had them all vote.
Family kid.
That's all you needed was grace votes.
She's Latina, and she's conservative, but she's also a mother 3 times already at 26, very pro-life, and she tells me that she found that to be incredibly offensive, and she posted it on Facebook, and she's getting a lot of ridicule and pushback from her peers over it. And I think, how do you to say what I found that absolutely disgusting. You know what? The other stuff, is typical. You pick on somebody, you have the way they look, or we got a guy we always kid about being short, or you kid about a guy being bald, but
This was great. I got a guy.
But it's
This generation
The abortion joke
does
was
not have a Bob Hope, a Johnny Carson, or a Jay Leno
Don
that
Rickles.
can go up or
Don
that
Rickles.
can go up on a dais and equally offend everybody where you still don't know their political leanings when they're
Well,
done.
what happens now
They
when
do-
someone
they-
says
they
something
got-
about a Democrat? They get shouted down, and the next day they have to make an apology.
I'm just saying you
Because
don't
of
have
the
those stature of
craziness.
comedians that can literally just walk with any
But
group and do this.
You see, I think
But there was
it's
nothing
further.
she said
It's-
was even remotely funny.
I think
mean, it was
it's even
the whole
beyond
skit was
the
like
comedy
a
thing.
bomb.
A guy came in, and we had a meeting with him, and he distributes ice cream all over New York, all over Queens and New York. And he was approached by this ice cream manufacturer, true story. And he says, we're going to run a line, potentially, of Italian ices and ice creams like Spumoni and things like that, from a woman from the Real Housewives of New Jersey, Teresa...
Guidice or something,
Yes.
her name is? I'm
yes.
a big fan.
So she went to jail, right? So this is the woman that her and her husband went to jail,
Yeah.
and they flip over
An
tables.
Italian from Jersey
They
going to
fist
jail.
fight,
Yeah.
And so he doesn't know who this is. So he mentions it to his wife, And he says, this woman's thinking about coming out with her own ice cream line and we might distribute it. The wife says, oh, you know, she's crazy. She punches people. She flips over tables. She went to jail. Her kids are crazy. So he goes back to the guy that said it. And he goes, what are you trying to get me involved with? This woman's apparently horrible. And he says, we do her cookbook. Can't keep it on the shelves. This woman comes to a mall and people wait online for hours to meet her. I mean, right? We kind of reward bad behavior. Now, you know, there was a black comedian that did it a couple of years ago. He dropped the N-word in front of Barack Obama. And people were shocked. He got booked instantly all across the country for comedy shows.
Now, I want to give
Her profile is now out there.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you,
we reward bad behavior.
I've got to give you. I got to tell you what that night was an interesting night. You had the Washington Correspondents' Dinner. You had Trump in another Washington in Michigan, giving his rally, and he's funny. He actually is funny, and he's giving it as good as he gets. That's why he fights back. But at 1 o'clock in the morning, Comedy Central reran the Donald Trump roast.
From years ago.
Yeah, it had to be no, because he said that I'm going to be making my decision in June.
Well, he also flirted with it years ago, but Anthony Jeselnik was the guy, I don't know.
Right, but it
really got Trump good on that.
Yeah,
roast.
but what I'm saying is that these guys are going after him like ugly on an ape. The most Gilbert Gottfried, I was hysterical, and
at a roast. That's funny.
But because he had a chance to fight back, he gets up and he makes his show. That's when it's funny when they did not give Sanders, what's her name? What's her
Huckabee Sanders, Sarah Huckabee Sanders,
a chance to fight back. She had to sit there and take it. That's not right, and that's the unfairness of what happened that night. When they give you a chance, I mean, they go after the president, but the president at those things has a chance to fight back.
Well, they do it at
President's fair game.
But they give him a chance to answer
his
back.
family shouldn't be and all
but
that stuff.
you don't go after. So see, what she was a bully, because she was going after somebody that couldn't fight back. And my father always told me, watch how people treat people that can't fight back. That's where you find out the measure of their character. Are they going after somebody that can defend themselves? Or are they going after somebody that they, in life, it measures how people are. See how they treat those kind of people. People that can't do anything for them. People that can't fight back. That's how you measure people. And so if you want to judge her by a real life standard, she went after somebody who couldn't fight back.
Well, also, they said that right away the backlash came from a lot of media people, saying, that she went too far, shows her apology. But they said that she went after the media, too.
She did.
I didn't watch it. I didn't hear it.
The way she went after the media, she was blaming them for Donald Trump.
Calling them out.
Right. Now, Donald Trump, at his rally, he says, I go on about these trade deals, but I'm not mad at Mexico. I'm not mad at China. He says, I wasn't mad at Merkel in Germany. He says, they did for their country the best deal.
Right.
He says, you know whose fault these bad trade deals? And he points, he says, your fault. Because you vote for these idiots that make these idiotic deals, and then you keep re-electing them. He says, it's your fault.
On a point
and
similar
he
to that.
was right.
Watching primaries right now is fascinating. The primaries are incredible. The thing happened in New York, the fight right now between Cynthia Nixon and
I love writing about this. This is great. I
incredible.
Get to be a spectator.
But in Staten Island, this guy Michael Grimm, he might win the primary.
Yeah.
He might be the Republican nominee.
He probably won.
But that's unbelievable.
But what I want to know, Cynthia Nixon does not have to win the primary to get her agenda. Think of everything Cuomo's done. It's her agenda. He's doing it, he's trying to even go left of her.
Republicans in this state have to start to wake up. I mean,
this is what I'm trying to say.
And they can if they want, if they actually get their basics.
Think about what we just talked about. We just talked about the abortion.
Yeah, but
hold on.
Yeah.
The abortion used to be for both parties, Republicans against it, Democrats against it, then for it limited as much as possible, and now it's a point of pride for the Democrats. It's a literal point of pride. They have people speak at their conventions that are almost proud of it. It's sick.
Not the abortion. It's the fact that they believe in infanticide.
Fine.
They want abortion at the 9th month.
Right.
That is too far.
But what Michael just said about the Republican Party in New York getting its act together, He has a point on that, but this comes because people in New York, they obviously don't vote on Democrats. People don't vote on economic issues or anything to do with national security or anything. They just vote on social issues. That's what it's all about. So if you're a conservative in New York who's a social conservative, how do you run in New York? If you say you're pro-life, some of them will just say you are anti-women right away. And how do you?
Yeah, but see, the way they
have to act like
no,
Trump,
I know
you
the
have
way
to
they
do.
right, and the way they frame the debate on abortion in particular, because I'm very, that one issue is, I think it's the most anti-feminist issue there is being pro-abortion.
Well, more female babies.
Because it's a racial issue too, because more black babies are aborted than have live births.
Anybody else?
The scales tip. So the thing, abortion was born out of racism anyhow. That's where its origins.
I
were.
wrote about that.
And that's where they will still lie. And the thing is, until people wake up,
but the Republicans won't go back into the history of Planned
won't say
Parenthood.
that.
and
But
abortion.
you know what?
They won't go
Kanye
there.
West will.
I saw the
Of all
worst defense for pro-life defense put out by Bill O'Reilly when he was talking to a pro-abortion lady, because I don't think he even understood what the issue was for abortion.
Margaret Sanger and all those.
Yeah, you know what the thing is. You go down this real slippery slope once you decide that life is not
That's
life.
right.
And the thing is, and when you and the biggest point to be made is, who's got the wisdom that decided when life begins? Who's all of a sudden been ordained with that?
But what I
wisdom?
do
Supreme
know-
Court.
So you what?
Yeah, but
right.
what-
I know, but it's
Yeah,
it's
but
you
wait,
know, the
but
thing
what
is
I-
ridiculous.
but the
So
one-
I say at 23. You say
but that's-
the legislation says 23 weeks. They can't. They have to classify it. They have to put the adjective a viable life because the day before 23 weeks it's life, and the day before that day it's
You
life,
have a
and the day
bump in
before
your
that
stomach
that's
at 20.
Yeah, but let me.
yeah,
okay,
it's
okay,
like
okay.
it's ridiculous. You have to go. You have to twist yourself in a logical pretzel, and it has nothing to do with whether you're Catholic or have a religious faith or anything else. You have to twist yourself.
Yeah, but now let's do this.
So how do you
I'm
overcome
not-
that in New
okay,
York
now
State?
wait a
But
second.
adding that to your legislative
because
agenda is
the
definitely.
Republicans
Pun intended on that one. The death.
No, I mean,
Republicans
In New York, it
But it's
certainly
not-
is.
it's not a
And that's
winning-
what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
but
because
wait.
Republicans don't believe their own.
We don't-
Don't
the
viscerally
Democrats-
believe.
Republicans run scared.
Democrats don't lead on getting rid of the death penalty, right? If a Democrat, right, we know for a fact, polling has shown us that if we lead on, hey, let's abolish the death penalty, let's not hold
every March
terrorists or
Yeah.
cop killers accountable, right? That's a losing issue for us.
Yeah,
Right?
the
It's a
thing is
losing
that
issue.
the
You
abortion
can't
issue.
run on these issues.
No, but the
Michael was
abortion
saying
issue. The
that.
abortion issue is the real issue is how do you know what if you're a real constitutionalist and you believe if you actually go into the history, we were all why do you have life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness? There is a hierarchy for the rights. You don't have liberty unless you have life. You don't have property unless you have liberty. There are and they're not so there is a hierarchy. And if you read Locke and you read John Locke and Jefferson, you'll understand that the idea was that why do we have freedoms? Why did we fight the English crown? Why do we believe in individualism? Is because we all believe that each one of us was the property of God. And so so life was sacrosanct,
What's
and no
interesting, though,
man
is like the
had a
Mormon,
right over
the
another
Mormon
man.
religion, right? Mormons are wildly pro or anti-abortion,
Yeah.
right? Because they're religious. Their religion is anti-abortion.
But this has nothing-
Legislatively, Mormons are pro-choice. Many Mormons
I think that-
advocate because they said the minute you start allowing, right? Because they were a persecuted religion in
Yeah.
the United States, so they are like libertarianish in that they don't want the federal government writing
Okay,
these type of
now
laws.
wait.
Yeah, but you know what it is?
But they're wrong because then they would be
Wait
first
a
states
second.
issues, so they would be against Roe
let's
v.
get to
Wade.
the
The whole
issue of
bit
So,
of-
but
abortion.
very
Wait
few
a second.
Americans trust those 435 people
Yeah,
in
but wait a
Washington.
second.
Right. No one does.
No, wait a
Right?
second.
So who's gonna trust
Wait
them
a
to make
second.
life and
Now,
death decisions?
See,
Right.
you've all jumped the gun here. First of all, we're talking about abortion in New York. The Supreme Court is not overturning Roe versus Wade.
Right.
Right.
It's not ever going to happen because
Right.
they based it on a right they made
Right,
up,
right,
the
but
right to privacy.
it's you know what? But it's the same thing with Brown versus
Board of Education?
Yeah, you weren't going to change anything there either. What was going to change it is the culture, and the bottom line is it's the culture drives politics to a great degree. And the thing is, if you do not pay attention, so we'll go back to right where we started. why don't you recite the Pledge of Allegiance? You know why? What the danger in it is? You're going to start to accept and adopt a culture which is anti-American.
What I'm saying is that New York State does not have the power to overrule the
Right.
Supreme Court. I don't care who the governor is. I don't care if it's the biggest
Right.
religious zealot you got. They're not overturning Roe versus Wade in
Right.
the state. But you can stop it from moving forward.
Well,
Which is what the Democrats in New York want to do all the way up to the 9th month.
Right.
Which I said, now,
Well, I think
medical
what
science...
started it, right, what Bryan was mentioning is within the primary system, the Republicans are being kind of beholden to the Right to Life and Conservative Party. So if they don't toe the line on certain things, then you're not getting a moderate
but
Republican.
you know
so
what?
you're producing unelectable
Right.
candidates.
I don't. You know what? I don't think it's an issue for if you want. If the Republicans want to be successful, it's not an issue. But the thing is, you shouldn't shy away from your ideals. And the whole point is, the idea is that the more the issue for abortion is, even if you concede that it's immoral and unconstitutional, how do you criminalize it? Do you criminalize the doctor? Do you criminalize the woman that has it? Who gets prosecuted if you make?
See, at my stage of the game, I'm trying to stop it from getting farther than where it is in New York.
You know what? I had malpractice cases with third trimester abortions where the woman has died. And we sued the doctor for the malpractice in doing the procedure, and there is nobody, and that's an illegal abortion in New York.
Right.
Nobody will prosecute.
Barack
Why?
Obama-
Because it's a dead Puerto Rican, and they don't give a damn.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, to tell you that's the truth. It was a dead Puerto Rican woman. You know what? They said, you know what? No,
Well,
dead-
that's why
that-
Planned
that-
Parenthood was founded. What's her name again?
Margaret Sanger.
Right.
Barack
She
Obama,
found
by
it
most-
to cull the
most
minority
leftist
population.
Logic should have been aborted. He was a single mother. Wasn't anywhere near his father. It was unplanned. She went along with it, and he became
Now,
president.
we got
I mean,
one
it
more
was just-
thing I want to discuss.
Shame.
Because as the Cuomo keeps lurching to the left against Cynthia Nixon, now he wants to ban plastic bags in New York State. Except he needs the legislature.
Just go on YouTube and put George Carlin in, and he has a skit on this.
Yeah.
On plastic bags.
And it is like,
No, but
everything I've always thought of, he just puts out there perfectly.
But I want to know what it's going to accomplish, because if you buy the
Nothing.
reusable bags, they're $5 each.
It'll hurt.
So-
It'll hurt lower income, like
And
all
you're
their
going to have to pay.
products
And
do.
you're going to have to pay sales tax.
Unsanitary food.
You're going to have to pay
They
sales
tried
tax.
to get rid of styrofoam a couple of years ago in New York City, and that meant that every bodega in every poor neighborhood.
But it'll make
Couldn't do
people feel
takeout.
good about themselves.
Well, I understand that, but what I'm saying is
That's all
that
that
you
matters these
have the people that make those. If people are forced to buy non-disposable bags, the people that make those bags are going to make them smaller. You know this, don't you? Because this way
well, they
have
don't
to
get
buy
out paper
more than
bags
them.
anymore, right?
They
Papers-
want this is where Cynthia Nixon
Paper's bad
is
also.
even worse than
You ever,
Cuomo.
ever visit a town with a paper mill in it?
Oh,
you
they
can't
smell
breathe.
awful.
You can't breathe.
I've been to a town
Yeah,
like
but
that.
but Cynthia,
Yeah,
now,
go up to Maine, and it's like
Cynthia
you college
Nixon is
woman
worse
is
on
go
this
to a-
because she's
smells
not only
terrible.
she says
God.
it's not
Smells
enough
awful.
that Cuomo should ban.
They don't even notice. The people that live
plastic
there don't even
bags.
notice.
No,
He
that's
says
horrible.
we should be charging people a nickel for using the paper bags. I mean, the woman is whacked, but she has got Cuomo scared.
The
to
Republic.
death.
Look, you know what? It's very simple. That there is a it used to be you couldn't just in the middle. You couldn't distinguish one from a Republican from a Democrat.
Yeah.
Now the divide.
Well, like the George Pataki.
It's
So
being
now we
much
look
more
back,
polarized.
Pataki was so
Yeah, yeah.
moderate.
But now I don't think that the Republicans should stay away from the social issues, but they shouldn't, in terms of trying to legislate the social issues. But the thing is, they shouldn't stay away from their ideals.
But what do you do when a Democrat says, "Well, Michael Grace is doesn't stand up for women"?